All right, I've composed myself. I went to the bathroom. I made sure.
We kind of came unraveled on that last segment.
Listen, I got to tell you, Seinfeld is hands down my favorite show ever on television, and that's up there in my top 3 favorite clips.
That's a great episode.
And as soon as we came up with the idea for Undie Sunday on Sunday, April 13th, in case you didn't catch it on Holtby's headlines, that's the first video I thought of in terms of a teaser video that we could put on the video board.
It's definitely getting played on the video board.
Yeah. The D's the biggest. That's what we know. That's all we know. Condors head coach Troy Mann joining us. And Coach, I mean, you come off a win last night, 7-2. You don't get too many of those during the course of a season, so when you do get them, it's nice to sit back and enjoy them a little bit here.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping at 5-2 we maybe saved a couple for Friday night, but
I don't think it works like that.
No, I know, but it's always good to. We're a team that needs to win the 2-1, 3-2 games, so most of our games go down to the wire. So it was kind of nice, even though I was worried still at 4-1 because you never 4-0 leads, 3-0 leads. You're always worried on the bench because there's a letdown.
Yeah.
There's just no doubt. And but when we got the 5th one, I kind of felt okay. Now we're rolling.
So it's a coach's job to be worried. That's what you guys do.
That's what we do.
That's what you do.
That's why they invented Ambien.
Exactly. It's got to sleep somehow.
Listen, when we were talking last night during the game, I mean, it's impossible to ignore that denied goal, the one that they took away from Stockton, changed the entire. I mean, if they get that goal and it's 4-3, I mean, now you're really worried.
Yeah, there's no doubt that was the TSN turning point, so to speak,
Yeah.
and. Whether it was a goal or not, I mean, I guess it's debatable on both sides. And thankfully, the call went in our favor. And some other night will probably go against us. So we'll take it. And we were thankfully got that 5th goal, and then I felt the game was over.
You start the game last night, and you get Eric Bergdorfer back. You get your lineup back. You start plugging the pieces back into place, and it just seemed like a team that, even if you shuffle the lines a little bit, that the chemistry right now is just there with these guys, that they're going to be able to bounce back. And you heard it from Joel Broda that, Stockton's a good team. And even with that lead, Stockton's shown this year that they can come back in hockey games.
Yeah, I mean, they're at the top of the league in goals for, and their power play is the best in the league. So they like to run and gun. They want to score 6-7 a night, and that's how they want to play the game, and that's fine. And so they do have the power to come back. So the game was never over, in my opinion. And when it comes to the lines, I do like the 11-5 formation. And
it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I like a 4-line game. I think it's important when you got guys going. And I spoke to a couple guys yesterday morning because I felt the only way to do that is if they were on again. And for example, Cameron Abney came back. I thought he was really good last night, and he was good, a few weeks ago to allow us to do something like that. And we kind of got away from that for a couple of games, but it was back on last night. Did a little juggling with Broda's line, and I just felt we weren't scoring enough 5-on-5, and that worked out as well.
It's always nice as the head coach when you call a guy into your office and you have a conversation with him, and then 2.5 minutes into the game, he sets up the first goal.
No, for sure. And I thought Abs responded yesterday with a really good game and played how he has in the past. So I'm a big proponent. I'd like to see the league actually add a roster player. just the way the dynamics of the reserve spots and that. To have a 19th guy, certainly from my perspective, makes sense. But that's a topic for another day.
And we talked about it earlier before we break down some video. We talked about the Devin Dubnyk trade being traded to Nashville, and is that going to affect the Condors? Well, Coach came in and said Ben Scrivens has been traded to the Edmonton Oilers.
He just killed your whole
We're okay.
Everything's
okay, Condors Town. Don't worry. Everyone's still in Bakersfield. All right, let's roll some video. And, Coach, this was we did this last week with Las Vegas, and we broke down what you showed the guys at 5:30. And we won't go through all of this, but the control breakout against Stockton.
Again, they center swing behind the net, and the big focus there is make sure that this guy who's going with speed is always picked up, and that was in their building. This was a little bit of a combination pre-scout from their game in Utah last Saturday, and then from how they played against us 4 weeks ago in that 6-5 loss. So we kind of do a little bit of a combination stuff. I always like to put stuff against us, and then also just refresh the lines from Saturday night in Utah. Also, the power play, obviously with call-ups and injuries, always change the formation, or maybe not the formation, but in terms of personnel. So it's a little bit of a both combination there. there. So, and in control forecheck, we don't change this very much. Late in games we might, but this is our control breakout. We got that double swing going here. Timing's a little bit off, but by little does a really good job of recovering and gets a little bit of shot on net there. But they play basically a passive 1-2-2 control forecheck, which I'm not a big fan of unless you got a lead late in the third. But that's just me personally.
Are you a fan of anything any other team does, Coach?
There are some things,
Okay.
but there are just certain ways teams play that my philosophy is a little bit different, and and it's usually all comes based on who you've been schooled by, right, or who your mentors are, and so that's just my thoughts.
You look at and you mentioned before we get into the forecheck, you mentioned you have other teams' video as well and how they played against Stockton. Is that sometimes difficult to kind of assess how good of a team maybe Stockton is by their opponent, and it's not necessarily your systems and what you're implementing, and you kind of have to go off of, guys, Utah did this, we're not going to do this, but here's what they did, and it wasn't successful?
Yeah, there's always a little bit of that, and the other thing is, too, like, in terms of your general structure, it doesn't really change from opponent to opponent. I mean, like your aggressive forecheck for the most part is going to stay the same, or your control forecheck is going to stay the same against most opponents, because you're not going to like change everything, because you want some continuity within the players, because you don't want throwing 20 different things on it
right.
Just because you're playing a different opponent. So most teams, Utah Saturday night against Stockton, I would say everything Stockton did Saturday night is what they did against us, so to speak. So.
And moving into the forecheck, we'll do a couple more of these clips, and then we'll get to the slate, Chris.
Yeah, this is,
I
I wanted to show them their forecheck. They come very aggressive, and I like their forecheck. Pause it right there. They got two guys in on there, and we only had one D. We did an excellent job on that breakout. Here's another one. Pretty good neutral zone on our part. Clogging up that neutral zone here, and now they got. You can see that guy pull out, but they got two guys going. And from our perspective, I did not like this clip. We didn't own the walls, and our center was too high. That center's got to be low and slow. He's got to be below that winger, because if you got two guys coming on you, you can't expect D. They're under pressure. They got to move the puck, and we want them to move the puck. And then the onus becomes on the wingers. They got to win that battle. This is this guy's job. He's paid to be a winger. He needs to win that job. And this center, who I think in this spot is Gary Steffes, he's too high there. He needs to be right here, so this guy maybe can make the play here, and he's got to trust his speed that if we do make the play off the wall here, he can go from here to here and still get that puck.
So this guy basically is already in the passing lane to get it to the center.
Yes, so this is not... there's a mistake here and a mistake here, and if we were breaking that down in terms of scoring chances, if somehow this ended up in a grade A opportunity on our net, Steffes would get a minus from the coaching perspective. Whoever this winger is, it's a right shot, so I don't know, it's either Abney or Kanakstick, because that's our only two right winger right shots. They would also get a tick for that, because you're not making the play there. Steffes is already technically blowing the zone there, so that would be a tick there too. So we showed this. I made all those teaching points from our perspective and showed them what Stockton does in the forecheck, which by now, because you play teams so much now, guys should know that by now.
Now, when you talk about giving minuses out, you're grading every single game, and you're grading exactly what? What is their rating going to be?
Well, like for example, I know there's a plus minus on the game sheet, but for us, we give ticks, and we post a scoring chance analysis sheet every game. And so in this case here, there was not a grade A, but if somehow this puck trickled into the slot and they got a grade A on LB there or Bunzy, then then we've got to make, well, who was why did this happen? Who made the mistakes? So if Bergdorfer's on the ice and he's not involved with that tick or that grade A, he would not get a minus in our perspective, but that's two clear minuses right there. Off the wall, not making the play, and the center blowing the zone. Those guys would get a minus, and then we would show them that, saying, hey, this is why this grade A resulted. So
there you go.
Chris,
always blame the forwards.
We could fast forward all the way to
blame
the
the
end if
forwards.
we can. There's a slate at the end. Just want to get to the game preview, but you mentioned breaking down the video, and you mentioned grading each guy. And what do you do with these reports? I know they go up to Edmonton, Oklahoma City. They see them. And how valuable of a teaching tool and of a coaching tool is it to have these reports and to be able to look at things, black and white on paper? Because, you might see a game and a guy you think, he had an okay game, but you go back and look at the film, you'd break it down and you say, wow, he had a really good game. You don't realize it.
Well, we do it in actually, that's the beauty of the size of our coaching staff. It allows you to do this stuff. So we will sit down after we watch the game on video and rate each player 1 to 5, with 2.5 being an average rating where they didn't really impact the game negatively or positively. And on top of that, we do a scoring chance analysis, which we post, and we'll post last night's tomorrow. And the guys will know that, if you're on, they will know based on their plus minus pretty much whether they had a good game or not. And it's all subjective. It's not to call anybody out, and it's a great way for us to keep the players accountable, because most times if I'm in the game, last night, for example, if I come in after the game, I thought Joey Leach was really good last night. And I suspect once that scoring chance analysis sheet is done for tomorrow, that Joey Leach as a defensive defenseman will be on the plus side in terms of how we broke the game down, because I thought he was good. Now, conversely, and I'm using him as an example, Saturday night against Vegas, I didn't think he was very good. And he knows that. We talked about it. And when we posted the scoring chance sheet, he was -6. -6 as a D-man is not very good. So, without even breaking the game down, I felt Saturday night in talking with the coaches who was good, who was bad, and we always discuss that. Yeah. I didn't think Leachy had a great game, and the scoring chance analysis proved that. And I bet you 90% of the time, once we post it, our intuition and based on how the guy played live from the bench and then watch it on video usually comes true.
Okay. And looking at the 4 keys to the game tonight, obviously with a 7-2 win, a lot of these came true.
Well, transition game, that's Stockton's, that's what they do. And when I say don't feed them, that means we can't turn pucks over. We want to make them defend, which is here. Sustain offensive zone play. Make these guys defend. I don't think D-zone coverage is one of their strengths. I don't think they want to defend. They just want to go up and down the ice. And one of our strengths is playing O-zone play. And you can see some of our goals last night. We played to our strengths.
Yes.
Special teams. I felt our PK, we went into the game like top 5 in the league. And I thought if we shut their power play down, that would be a key. Now, there wasn't a lot of power plays, but we still went 2 for 2 on the kill. And we end up winning the game. And then the last, it was a funny stat. I was coming in yesterday, and I have the XM, and they said in the NHL, 68% of the winning teams score the first goal. Now, I don't have an ECHL or AHL stat, but that's a pretty big stat to know that 68% of the teams are winning. And I just felt Saturday against Vegas, the first period killed us. We weren't bad in the second and third, but I didn't like our start. So I made it a point that start, energy, was a big part of our game last night, and I thought we executed that in terms of bringing it, being physical, getting that first goal. And I don't want to, I will not talk to the guys about scoring the first goal, because then you don't want to get them in the head, we got to score the first goal to win. But at the same time, you want a good start.
Bartz, that sounds like a good project for you coming up this week. I want you to break down each game and come up with the first goal.
I thought you meant to give you plus minuses, because I think you were probably a -2 during Holtby's headlines.
I thought I was a plus.
You started crying and almost couldn't even finish the segment.
That was awesome, though.
That's a -1. I'm sorry.
What about sending me about the trade for Dumnik?
That's a minus for sure. -1
not knowing
for sure.
about the scrimmage deal.
Certainly worried, Coach Mann.
Didn't even get the details.
Yeah. So if we were ranking him 1 to 5 right now, he is. At least he's probably a 2 right now.
I hope to turn it around with Bergie's segment. I hope.
You have half a show.
There's progress.
Listen,
there's promise.
I mean, you can't win a game in the first period, but you can lose it.
Yeah, I hope I haven't lost it.
All right.
I've given up the first goal, certainly. No doubt about it. But
you've got to recover here on break.
Coach, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it as always. 3 big games for the Condors this weekend. Friday at home against San Francisco. Saturday in Stockton. Sunday back home against Ontario. When we come back here at Condors Unleashed, after this quick timeout, we'll be joined by Condors defenseman Eric Bergdorfer, back down for the American.
And I'll be eating pizza.
And Bart will eat some pizza. It's all on Bakersfield.com, live from the Dignity Health Studios inside the Bakersfield, California. Stay tuned.